This is the one. What you see on the left is what everybody will see. The small one. What you see, the small one, which is a replicate of this screen, which is what everybody will see now. So it is working.
Oh, yes.
So if I bring my PowerPoint, it will.
Yes. Oh, you have any music? We need speakers for that?
No.
No, only just written matter, no? Text.
Okay, so we are all set. Position is correct, no? My sitting position, everything? Yeah, good.
You've got 5 minutes more.
Yeah, everything is set.
What is Operations Management at the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, and also the Dean of the Institute.
Long back. I am no longer the Dean.
With more than 20 years of experience in teaching and academic administration, also in other institutes like IIT Delhi and XLRI Jamshedpur. Besides being on the advisory boards of several business schools and journals in India, his research findings have been published in leading international journals. With a consistent rating among the top 5 professors in IIM Bangalore and executive education programs, he is a recipient of ICFAI Best Teacher Award by the Association of Indian Management Schools in 2005. He is also on board of trustees of some NGOs providing valuable community and social service. His other interests include research in usage of ancient Indian wisdom to address contemporary issues. He is also a member of the Central Sanskrit Board, which looks into all Sanskrit policy issues in the country. With these few words, I hand over the session to him. Thank you.
वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तप्रतिपत्तये जगदपितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीं नमोऽस्तु ते व्यास विशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. So by the grace of Lord Krishna, the good officers of Aurobindo Complex Trust, P Nagar, we will meet beginning today for the next 3 days, and we will talk about the glory of divine manifestation, chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, which is called Vibhuti Yoga. First of all, what is this Vibhuti? Vibhuti. The word Vibhuti has come from a Sanskrit root bhu. It's the first Sanskrit root in 2200 roots, bhu satayam. If you have to describe anything which is existing, we have to use the root bhu. That's why bhavati, there is a Sanskrit word bhavati. So this word, bhu is the root, Bhuti is existence. From the root bhu, you have to tell many things about existence. So bhuti basically in English means existence. And it is upasarga vi. There is an attachment vi to this, to make it vibhuti. Vi generally is visishta, special, or even more. If you want to emphasize more in Sanskrit, you can take a root. You can add something before that, and the meaning can get very strengthened. Sometimes meaning can go elsewhere also. That also is possible. Akrama and sakrama. Krama is the word. You put aha, it becomes something. You put saha, it becomes something. So it's like that. So vibhuti is the power of manifestation. It's a special manifestation. In other words, the power of manifestation of the Lord. So that is what this chapter is all about. Now, before we get into the chapter, I think it is very important to put a couple of things in place. First of all, studying texts like, our ancient Indian wisdom, particularly the Upanishads, the Gita, even some of the Puranas. Reading these is not like trying to understand physics, chemistry, or management, or psychology. The reason is all these subjects, mathematics or chemistry or psychology or whatever you call it, they are all indriya vedyam. I mean, you can learn it by exerting your indriyas. The indriyas are, jnana indriyas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, all our faculty. You can exert all these faculty and learn. If you are not getting maths, you can hit on the wall for some more time. Use your brain a little bit more, and then maybe a little more mathematics will come. And that must be true of psychology, that must be true of all worldly knowledge. Whereas what we learn here are not something which we can learn through the indriyas. They are ati indriyas. They are beyond indriyas. But still we have to use the indriyas. This is the central challenge. When we read ancient Indian texts, particularly Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, the central challenge is we are trying to use our faculty, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, this thinking faculty, and try to understand something which by design cannot be understood in this fashion. So that is the central challenge. So how do we handle it? So our Vedanta, the whole discussion, they have used two very powerful methodologies. So I will explain one methodology because this chapter is going to be like that. In fact, most of Bhagavad Gita is like this. This is called Tatastha Lakshana. These words are all looking heavy, don't worry, they are very interesting concepts. Suppose I am looking for your house. I am coming for the first time. I don't know your house. I have your address, postal address, all that. I came to the 41st cross. I am still not able to find your house. So there is one gentleman. So I ask him, I am looking for so and so's house. Can you tell me where it is? So this gentleman will say, you see there is a coconut tree. There is a tall tree. Then you will say, yes, yes. Next to that is the house. Look at this method of pointing to something. You never pointed the house. Never you pointed the house, you pointed a coconut tree. Or in other words, I asked in a crowd, who is so and so? That person with the blue shirt. So you never pointed the person but the blue shirt. You understand? Here is a concept. You are not telling the concept, you are telling something closer to it. And what is the idea? By telling something closer to it, by approaching it, there is 100% chance you got it. So this technical term is called Tatastha. This Lakshana is called Tatastha Lakshana. Most of Vedantic description is like that. You can point to something which only takes you closer. So in the middle of the forest, they will ask, where is the pond? Then they say, you see that tall tree? There is the pond. So you go after the tall tree, you never went after the pond. But once you reach the tall tree, you found the pond. That is the approach. So Vibhuti Yoga is exactly like that. I cannot point you God, nor anybody can point you God because it is beyond the Indriyas. It is Atindriyas. So what do I do now? I bring this methodology of Tatastha. Now I will point you something very closer to the God. So you go there, and there is just as I found the house which I never knew, and I knew the house only because of the tree. So the tree is so important for me to locate the house. Without the tree or without the blue shirt, I would have never found this person. So the blue shirt is very important now. In the same way, our ancestors have sidestepped the problem like this. They are saying, it's very hard, don't throw your hand up. I will tell you Tatastha, I will tell you things. You go near it. And once you go near it, there is a good chance you will find out. So Vibhuti is like that. How do you show the divinity? Show the divinity by Tatastha. Show something and say, this is where God is. If you can go up to that point, probably you will not return and ask me the next question or ask Krishna the next question. Where is the God? Because that is the very idea. This is one powerful methodology. And as I told you, this is very, very important because with Indriyas you cannot grasp. Still we have to use the Indriyas. So that is the reason why this whole methodology is. This chapter is a very good illustration of that. It's all Tatastha. It's all showing divinity by showing something which is close to divinity. So that's how it is done. It's a very, very important chapter in Bhagavad Gita. In fact, every chapter is important. The reason why I am saying this is an important chapter is this chapter is just before this grand vision of Vishwarupa Darshana, which is chapter 11. There the Tatastha is one more step closer now. That's also you are only pointing to something. It is up to us to find the God. I will only show you something closer. So this is the penultimate chapter to Vishwarupa Darshana, which is chapter 11. And there is actually a build-up. If you read Bhagavad Gita in that order, you find there is a lot of build-up. There is a lot of things happening. So that way this is a pinnacle before the Vishwarupa Darshan really happens. That's why this is a very, very important chapter. And this is a chapter which is part of the second triplet. Bhagavad Gita, as you know, have 18 chapters, which are divided into 6, 6 and 6. There is a very clear theme in these 3 6. The first 6 talks about you. You in the context of the world. It's called, Mahavakya is Tattvamasi. So there is a Tat, there is a Tvam, there is a Asi. There are 3 parts to this Mahavakya. Tat means that. Tvam means you. Asi means you become that. You become God. This is a Mahavakya. Bhagavad Gita has discussed this Mahavakya in 3 6 chapters. The first 6 chapters is about Tvam. First you have to establish you. You are working in the world. You are in the midst of complex things, family, this pressure, social pressure, some targets that I have to meet, personal targets, if I am working, my organizational targets. This is our I. This is the you, that person. So that person has to first clean up this act. You should know how to manage your world outside. The you happens only because there is a world. If the world disappears, where is I and you? Everything is disappearing. So the moment you use the word I and you, we are now talking about the world. So the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, which we saw in the last 2 times when we met, we saw some detail of that, basically tells how do you gather yourself as a person. So Karma Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, all those are great concepts, Dhyana Yoga. All those are telling gather yourself first. Your Vyaktitva should not be distracted and disturbed in many ways. That is the first 6 chapters. The second 6 chapters in Bhagavad Gita is about Tat Padartha. Now I have to tell you what is that. That is the divinity. And the third 6 chapters is you become like that. Asi. Tattvamasi. So this is in the second triplet, which is all about describing divinity. That's why this power, glory of manifestation is coming here. So it started with chapter 7 and wonderful ideas in chapter 7, great ideas in chapter 9. Particularly 7 and 9 is a build-up. After that we are in chapter 10. It's all taking us to this concept of understand the divinity. That is what this chapter is all about. Now that leads us to a question. Where is this need for divinity? What is this divinity that we are talking about, and why do we need this divinity? That's a very, very important question which we need to be very clear. Every one of us in this room, I am a professor, maybe someone is a doctor, someone is working in a company, someone is retired doing some service, somebody else is a priest in a temple, somebody else could be a social worker helping others. Let it be anything. All of us, we have all come from very different backgrounds. Somebody is a homemaker, housewife. You have all varieties of people in Vyavahara. All of us have come from different backgrounds, and this includes the great Alexander who conquered the whole world. Even people like that. All of us, no matter what we are doing, these examples are the different things that we are doing. And there is one person who is doing nothing also. In fact, there is this very nice story. There is one Englishman who came and he saw one yogi kind of a person just sitting, doing nothing. So this Englishman was very concerned. So he goes to him, he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "No, I am doing nothing. I am just..." This is the problem with you people. You must work. Why are you like this? So this person asked him, "Why should you work?" He said, "So that you can make more money." I said, what do I do with that? "So that you can, buy more items." And what do I do with that? "So that you can be more happy." And there were a series of questions for which he kept on giving answers. Finally his answer was, "So that I can be happy." He said, "That's what I am doing now." So why I am saying this, the example is not for that. The example is, no matter what we are doing, all these categories of people I am talking, we all pursue only certain goals in life. And I always use these three words from Taittiriya Upanishad to explain it. We all go after Shanti, Samriddhi and Amritam. This is what we are actually looking at. We want Shanti, peace of mind. All this work we are doing only for that. As a professor, as a doctor, as a priest, as a busy multinational executive running after market shares, all of us are doing what is the basic assumption as that dedicated wife doing at home. All of them, we want Shanti. I don't think if you can ask anybody ask, they will say anything different. We want Samriddhi. Samriddhi is a sense of fullness, contentment. They are all related to one another anyway. We all want Samriddhi. That's why in Taittiriya Upanishad it says Shanti, Samriddhi, Amritam. That's what it says in the first chapter. This is the advice given by the teacher to the passing out student, convocation address. So we want Shanti, peace of mind. We want Samriddhi, a feeling of fullness, contentment. In chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, there is a very nice sloka, Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram yavat pravishanti apaha. He says, just like these greatest rivers in the world empty their water into the ocean does not even achala, apuryamanam achalaha. It is a embodiment of fullness. Brahmaputra cannot do anything to Bay of Bengal. It may be the mightiest river in this part of the world. The ocean does not even shake. So that is the example Krishna gives, how we should have our state of mind. So we want that. We want this sense of fulfillment, contentment. Then Amritam. Nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live one more day, one more day, one more day. I mean, this is not a big secret. We all know that. So at the end of the day, we think that is what is called Amritam. Whereas if you read the Bhagavatam, you understand the meaning of Amritam different. But anyway, in any case, we are going after all these. So these are our assumptions. And these are the assumptions behind technological progress, behind scientific progress, behind new developments that are happening, new ways. We have put so many gadgets around today and then we are trying to get it out. Everything, if you really go to the bottom of the matter, every one of us at the end of the day want only these three. But please ask for yourself, where are we? While this is the basic goal, I want Shanti, I want Samriddhi, I want Amritam. Nobody has a lack of clarity on that. It is so strange. We have so much clarity on this concept, but the proof of the scorecard is very bad. I don't think we can thumb the desk and say I have reached all the 3 targets. That is our experience all over the world. This great Alexander, after doing so much, finally he said, I am a very defeated person at the end of the day. So even for him, it was an idea which was ultimately not being satisfied. So we all have our experience on this. So the objective is not a problem. So the question that comes to us is, where is the problem now? By doing more and more of what we are doing in our vyavahara, with technological progress, all that, it looks like, we seem to be a little bit evading this Shanti, Samriddhi and Amrit. I mean, there are times it peeps for a nanosecond, sometimes millisecond, maybe for a few minutes. So the question is, this question can never run away. It's a very inevitable question. Nobody can run away from this question. Don't think we are so rational we can push this question under the carpet. We cannot. I think we need to ask this question. With all that I am doing, very honestly we are doing, very earnestly we are doing. Very honestly, earnestly we are doing so many things, but this goal of Shanti, Samriddhi and Amritam is not happening. So, is there a problem with this assumption? Where is the way out? This is a big question which will not evade from us. We can afford to postpone it by a few years. We can afford to postpone it for a few janmas also, or maybe several janmas also. But I don't think this question we can run away. And the sooner we ask this question, we need to ask this question. Answer will worry later. The day we seriously ask this question, that means Bhagavad Kataksha and Guru Kripa has fallen on us. Because the question is very important. Don't worry about the answer. We should ask this question, where is this assumption going wrong? The day we ask that question and we are able to persist on that question, we will find an answer. Then we make meaning for Bhagavad Gita or whatever we want to do or whatever we hear, whatever we talk, whatever we discuss. So I think this is a biggest puzzle that every one of us are going through. So that is where this whole value of this. So I just want to spend these few minutes before we get into the text. There's phenomenal value in these texts. Because these texts actually, they do 2 things. First, they make us ask this question. By going through these texts, if we have not been asking this question, it will make us ask this question. Sooner or later. That's the greatness of these texts. Because it brings that sense of vichara in us. That sense of inquiry. A sense of dispassionate inquiry. Not a very passionate or a very involved or a very emotional. We will become a little dispassionate and very objectively we will start asking this question. That is the first greatest benefit of this text. So I think not only this text, all these great thinkers who have left with so much of wisdom with us, all of them serve this purpose. Just to give you an idea, Adi Shankaracharya is opening in his Bhashya for Bhagavad Gita. There is a beautiful sentence, first in the sense, first 1 or 2 sentences later, not exactly the first sentence. He says this, Dvivido hi vedokto dharmaha, pravritti lakshano nivritti lakshanascha, jagataha sthiti karanam, praninam sakshat abhyudaya nishreyasa hetu. There is a very wonderful concept he says. What is he saying? He says, Vedo uktaha dvividaha dharmaha. In Veda, there are 2 types of dharma which have been told. This is how he starts this commentary. Dvivido uktaha vedo hi dharmaha. What are those? Pravritti lakshana and nivritti lakshana. He says, Jagataha sthiti karanam. He says these 2 contrasting concepts called nivritti lakshana and pravritti lakshana together are responsible for stability of this universe. He is putting such a heavy word there. Jagataha sthiti karanam. And he says, Sakshat Praninam. It never said Manushyanam, it said Praninam. For all living beings, this is required because we need Nishreyas and Abhyudaya. Abhyudaya is material benefit. Nishreyas is spiritual benefit. It's not enough we have material benefit alone. I very often say jokingly in my other class, if you have a lot of money, you can die in a cart made of gold. Dying cannot be, bartered with money. You cannot buy, like carbon credit, you cannot buy your death credit and all. You can keep it in the ventilator for a few more days if required, if you throw some more money. So, by being barely rich, we cannot escape some grand truths of reality. So that's why Pravritti Lakshana alone is not enough. Pravritti Lakshana is all about industry. I mean, it's important. Adi Shankara says both are important. Pravritti Lakshana and Nivritti Lakshana. We have to be very industrious, we have to be very active in the world of Vyavahara. But he says that should be counterbalanced with Nivritti. A sense of spiritual thinking along with a materialist thinking is a winning combination, is what Shankaracharya said 1500 years back. We are coming back to it today. There is one German philosopher, Schopenhauer. So he said in his book, The World as Will and Representation, he said now that, 1819 he said, nearly about 200 years back, 195 years back. He said now that we have solved all problems of safety and security. Now that man has solved all problems, he has become problem himself. This is what he said. So essentially, going on the road of pravritti will make you half-baked. You will be staring with a sense of emptiness. That's why Adi Shankara said, bring both. That is what this text will give. This is the second advantage of this text. It gives you a very good dose of spirituality as well as a good dose of pravritti lakshana. It will make us much more industrious. If we can read this text properly, can understand this text properly, we will become very active in life. We will have a detached attachment to work. That's the greatest way of doing work, which he spoke in great length in chapter 4 and so on. So that is the greatest advantage of this ancestral wisdom. In fact, this doesn't restrict to just Bhagavad Gita or the Dasha Upanishads or Brahma Sutra. You look at our Puranas, look at these great works done by these thinkers, even up to Aurobindo, Ramakrishna. You can take Ramana Maharishi, you take anything. This whole body of knowledge will restore the balance in us. Otherwise, we'll be just looking at one direction in life. We will soon find we are out of balance. We need balance. For balance, you need two things, and you have to, put them in place. That is why we need texts like Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Now let's get, so with this background, I just wanted to tell that there is enormous value in these kinds of exercises that we do, because we need that balance in life. Let's little bit talk about chapter 10 before we get into it. As I told you, chapter 10 is part of the second triplet of Bhagavad Gita, which is entirely positioned on Tat Padartha. The second 6 chapters wants to point to a serious reader the notion of God, the notion of divinity. Because for many of us, God is only a concept. We have to touch our heart and inquire this idea. For most of us, God is not a reality, God is a concept. For some of us, God is one player in this transactional world. I want to put one coconut, we better do it. So God comes suddenly at that time. You better get my daughter's wedding, I will give you 108 coconuts. Kelavaru heltare 1008 modakanta. So depending upon your ability, you can, it's the terms of the trade. Because in chapter 7, the opening chapter of this, he said, Chaturvita Bhaktaham Bhajanti Mam. It says Artha, Artharthi, Jignasa and Jnani. Well, there is a good description of all that. So for many of us, God is either a concept or God is a transactional entity for us. When we do some transaction, when we are in trouble, we want help from somebody. Like I asked my friend, I asked my boss, if nothing works, I ask Ganapati. If it doesn't also work, I ask some Guru, because Guru is also some representative of the God, is our understanding. Whereas the meaning of Guru is very different. Anyway, let us not get into it. So, for us, God is an entity which is a little away from us. Whereas these 6 chapters The single pointed theme of Lord Krishna is to demystify all these ideas and to show us how can God is not a matter that we are experiencing. The day we are experiencing God, we have covered a lot of ground. So Krishna wants to say that God is a matter to be experienced as much as you experience pleasure and pain and the Shad Ripus, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya. Like as you experience all of them, you should be able to experience God also. That is where He wants to take us. Now in Bhagavad Gita, in each triplet, the first chapter of a triplet, there will be one very, very important shloka. The entire triplet will be only expanding that shloka. So in this triplet, since it starts in chapter 7, there is a 7th shloka or 8th shloka in chapter 7. It says, Matta parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamitam protam sutre manigana iva. The cardinal principle of divinity was established there. He says, Matta parataram na kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is nothing other than me, not a speck of dust. There is nothing you can see other than me. Na kinchidasti. Not even a small piece you can see which is anything other than me. Mayi sarvamitam protam. Anything that you experience, anything that you see is like beads sewn in a thread. Sutre manigana iva. You take a long thread and keep on adding beads. No, all these beads' existence is attributed to that thread. If you pull the thread, all the beads will fall. Think of a necklace. What is the adhisthana for the necklace? It is the thread. If you remove the thread, the mala itself has lost its shape. So he says, I am the adhisthana. For anything that you see, this shloka is the important shloka, and from that chapter to chapter 12, he is only, giving more and more and more explanation of this shloka. In that journey, in chapter 7, he established this shloka. He established the type of bhaktas. The moment you say, I want to know the God, you have to be a bhakta. You have to make an effort to know the God. So that person is called bhakta. So he talked about different types of bhakta. He said, Ye etamam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. Whatever people ask, I will give. So you better ask the right thing. Don't go to a samrat of an empire, which is what, there is a story, Chakravarti got lost into a forest. So he didn't know how to get out. One woodcutter helped him. Finally, he didn't know he was the Chakravarti of this great country. So when he went out, he told, I am the Chakravarti of this whole thing. Come to my court tomorrow. So this woodcutter came and told his wife, there was a person struggling and I finally found him way. He is the Samrat of this Aryavarta. He has asked me to come tomorrow morning to the court. They are very happy. Next day morning he goes to the court. The king asks, what do you want? He strains his head and says, for cooking today evening I need some woods. I don't have firewood. So that's all he asked. So king gave him, instead of giving him only for today evening, he gave for 3 evenings, for example. He gave him a gunny sack of firewood and asked him to go. That is what we should understand. So Krishna said, Ye etamam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. You ask. So if you ask, give me promotion, he'll give you promotion. If you ask Shanti Samriddhi Amritam, he will give. But we don't seem to ask that. And there is a way of asking also which we don't understand the mechanics of asking. So this triplet is taking us through all those kinds of things that is going. And another important thing, that question, there is another question which all of us have. Many of us may ask that question openly. Maybe some of us don't ask that question. But don't ever think that question never is with you. All of us have that question. What is that question? The question is as follows. There is something called Jiva. Each one of us is a Jiva, Jivatma. There is something called Jagat. There is some world. I am now sitting in a room with 20 people in front of me. There is a computer, there is a camera, there is an overhead projector, there are fans and lights. This is my Jagat in a limited sense now. But there is a Jagat. So there is a Jiva, there is a Jagat, and there is an Ishvara. We may not know exactly how to, but we know that there is a bigger force. We may give different names, we may not even give a name, which is all right. We don't disagree on that. The Astika Nastikavada is not on that. It's only a question of whether you want to give a shape and name or not. Even an Astika has to understand there are some forces. He may want to dismiss that idea, which is all right. So the question which all of us have, it's in our belly. For us it is dormant, for some of us it is glowing. The question is, what is the connection between these three? Is there a connection between Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, and what is that connection? Now again, this is a question which we can say I don't want to ask. We can say I don't have, but no, I don't think we can run away from this question again. The sooner we ask this question, it will put us in the right path where we need to travel in Janmantaras. Janma after Janma, we will have to go through this process. These questions are very important. So this second triplet of Bhagavad Gita, 7 to 12, squarely puts a framework for connecting Jiva, Jagat and in every chapter there is a description. So we are now in chapter 10. So these are all the build-up for this chapter. I thought let us have a little bit of a background as to what do we look for in this chapter, why do we have to look at this chapter and so on. So with that, perhaps we must start. I think I will just check whether... Yeah, everything is all right. Okay. Okay, so we therefore will look at chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, with this background. And in a matter of 3 days, already about half a day is gone for us. In a matter of 3 days, I think it is impossible to go shloka after shloka after shloka. I am not going to do that. But we will get a good gist of chapter 10. We will really pick up those shlokas and try to understand what is it that Lord Krishna is telling us. What is it that we need to extract from chapter 10? We will take that kind of an approach rather than, wherever possible, I will try to use as many shlokas. So as I told you, Vibhuti is manifestation or glory. It's an expression of the joyous infinite among the finite. The finite is actually made of infinite. The Gadakasha is a part of the Mahakasha. See, if you demolish all these walls, it is Mahakasha. It's all space. Moment you put 4 walls, it becomes a classroom, a temple, a kitchen, a bedroom, a house, a sauchalay. So it is called Gadakasha. So this infinity pervades into a limited thing, upadhi, that is called upadhi. You get into a very constrained thing. Moment the infinity gets into a constrained thing, you call it as some name and shape. They are no different. So the infinite expresses in the finite. This chapter is going to tell us, use this idea and tell us, understand divinity like that. Now another thing which we have to understand, which is so good about this country, in fact this chapter opens a lot of thinking. Just look at in this country, when 2 rivers meet, or 3 rivers, in fact a river is a holy spot. Why I talk about 2 rivers meeting? A river, you go to, the origin of Kaveri, which is called Talakaveri, it is the most holy spot. You go to the Sangama of the Kaveri with the Bay of Bengal in Tamil Nadu, in Vedaranyam, that's a holy spot. In fact, there is a practice, there is a religious practice in the Magamasa to go from here to there. Every day there is a Tula Kaveri Snana in the month of Tula. In fact, this chapter will connect to a lot of practices which this country is doing, at which youngsters, even elders are laughing at without knowing. There is enormous sense in everything that we do. This chapter will connect it. Without knowing it, we are all laughing at our own fortune. Youngsters are not only doing it, elders are also doing it. You go to a mountain top, it is holy. You will find a temple, you go wherever you want to go. At best you can remove the temple and put some other temple, that is the effort some people are trying. A hilltop is a holy place. The meeting of 2 rivers is a holy place. The meeting of 2 oceans, Kanyakumari is a holy place. That's why we go there. And Anything which looks great. What is common to all these? These are the expressions of bounty. A great river, when the dam fills, we offer a puja, you can laugh at it. That means your understanding of vibhuti is very, very narrow. We will come to it. Tomorrow I will expand this theme more. Today I will not get into this theme, but I want to talk about it tomorrow. But the point I am saying, in this country, we had a certain belief, and that belief has come from all the belief is, you see anything which is very glory, which is an expression of glory, it is nothing but divinity. That's why even a temple is made look great. Moment you put an idol there, that is why this whole practice of the Kumbhabhisheka makes it so elaborate that you bring that feeling of greatness there. The rituals are elaborate only for that. 41 days Mandala Abhisheka, this, that, Purvanga, Uttaranga, Kalashabhisheka, Vedaparayana. Why are they doing all that? That anything that remains glory is godly. That is the central message we will have to appreciate. If we don't appreciate it, we have lost. Culturally, we appreciated it. I will return to this point tomorrow. All that I want to say is this country had enormous sense on law, what I called as law of conservation of divinity, which means there is divinity everywhere. We need to know how to connect it and remind it on day to day. That's what this chapter is going to be. Matta parataram na anyat kinchidasya dhananjaya. That is a cardinal principle, which I call it as law of conservation of divinity. This chapter shows a practical expression. Don't just talk about a concept and put it in a cupboard or in a book. It has no meaning. You can't say God is everywhere just as a sentence. You don't even know what it means. You don't even know is there truth in it. You don't even know, what do we do with this statement? If you don't address all these, this statement has no meaning. Absolutely no meaning. Moment you make a statement, then we need to make sense of it. We need to understand it. We need to live through it, we need to practice it, we need to experience it and see the joy of it. This chapter is reminding us all that. That's what this chapter is trying to do. Sri Aurobindo in his chapter starts in the, one of the important point he makes is Arjuna is made to ask for a practical way of seeing God. So this chapter is all about God cannot be a concept only in a book or in somebody's mind for the purpose of intellectual gymnasium. It cannot be that. God must be a living principle. If something is not a living principle, it is no use. So if there is something called Bhagavan, if there is something called divinity, it must exist. It cannot exist in a stone, in a temple. I mean, there are some visishta, there are some special, additional representations, but it should be more ambivalent. It should be available more. So Sri Aurobindo says, Arjuna is being forced to ask this question, how do I practically understand the law of conservation of divinity? What does it mean? That is what this chapter is all about. So Sri Aurobindo on Vibhuti Yoga devoted 3 chapters. The 3 chapters are the supreme word of the Gita, which covers the first 18 shlokas roughly. Because in the first 18 shlokas, Sri Krishna makes certain reassuring statements to Arjuna. In fact, I would say first 10 shlokas to be precise, because 12 shloka onwards Arjuna is offering a prayer, and then in the 16, 17 shloka he is asking, please tell me, I want to know more. So the first 10 shlokas, there are some very nice points which we will see. So he broadly covers that in the first chapter. Then the God in the power of becoming is where he talks about the 72 vibhutis which is demonstrated in this chapter. So there is a description of that. And then he concludes this discussion with again a chapter on Tira Vibhuti where he summarizes and some of the important things. These particular two sentences are very important. We have now got to the innermost kernel of Gita Yoga. He says you have to touch divinity now. There is no point in talking about divinity. You have to touch the live wire and get shocked for a positive sense, not for a negative sense. You have to get electrified. Shocked is not a great word. We have to get electrified. Go there and you have to touch it and experience it. Sri Aurobindo says it's moving you there. The highest spiritual secret of existence, that all is from God, all is the divine, and in all things God dwells and is concealed and can be revealed in every finite appearance one can think of. Na kinchidasti dhananjaya, matta parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. There is no better expression of that than this. In every conceivable, finite, limited experience, we should be able to see God. That is where Krishna wants to take us in his whole argument of showing the Tatpadartha. So that is what this chapter is all about. Now, if you look at Upanishads, Upanishads are saying something again and again. So I have pulled from several Upanishads quickly to take you through. Very, very nice shlokas. Look at these couple of shlokas from Mundaka Upanishad. It says, Tadetat Satyam Yata Sudiptat Pavakas Vispulingaha Sahasrashaha Prabhavante Sarupaha Tata Aksharad Vivida Saumya Bhavaha Prajayante Tatracheva Apiyanti. He says, Sahasra Sudiptat, from a flame, from a fire. If you burn a fire, even you take this small little, this, during Diwali time they keep this sparkler, no? If you take a sparkler, you will find 1,000 things coming out of it. Tiny, tiny little sparks. That's what this is saying. Pavakaha, Vispulingaha, these sparks. Sahasrashaha, in thousands of numbers, Prabhavante, they take form. Out of this, they take their own form. The spark's form was not contained in the spark, in the sparkler. When you fired it, when it started burning, it took its own shape, different shades, different colors, thousands of them. In the same way, Tata, Yata and Tata, as that is happening, Tata, in the same way, Aksharat, that indivisible and that one which is undestroyable, that Parabrahman, from that, Vividaha Bhavaha Prajayante. Hey Saumya, Saumya is on the disciple. Hey, good looking. So the Saumya is addressing the disciple. So that's not required in this thing. Point is, Vividaha Bhavaha Prajayante. Just as what you see from a fire, some beautiful sparks of different shapes are coming out. In the same way, from that indestructible nature called Brahman or Bhagavan, whatever you want to call, from that different forms and shape comes. He only adds one more sentence. He says it goes back to that. That we didn't say in the other example. Here it says, Tatra cha eva api yanti. They go back there only. Right? Yata nadhyaha. Second example is even interesting. This is our day-to-day experience. Yata nadhyaha sandhyamanaha samudre astam gachanti namarupe vihaya. Just like Ganges and Brahmaputra and all tributaries become Bay of Bengal. Bay of Bengal empties itself into what is called Indian Ocean. And everything is nothing but a sheet of water. They have lost their name and shape. Nama and Rupa Vihaya. Samudraha Astam Gachanti. They all go and flow and merge into oneness. Tata, in the same way. Vidwan, that wise person who understood the truth. Vidwan Nama Rupad Vimuktaha. He asks what is your name, he will not tell you your date of birth and passport and his name, because they are all only for this body. For the next generation, next Janma I cannot use Mahadevan name, nobody is going to even recognize it. So only ee Janmak matra adu. So therefore, Vidwan Nama Rupad Vimuktaha Paratparam Purusham Upaiti Divyam. So these are all practical examples. Because river, when it have Nama and Rupa, it is constrained. When you remove the Nama and Rupa, it becomes one. Demolish all this building, it will become Mahakasha. It's all nothing but space. For Mahapanchabhuta. This is no more a Mahapanchabhuta. It has now become this is a even narrower Mahapanchabhuta. So the moment you destroy all that, it will escape into oneness. Isha Vasyamitam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagat Yam Jagat. The first mantra in Isha Vasya says the whole world is nothing but the spreading of this divinity. This is what Ishavasya Upanishad, the 18 mantras start with this first mantra. Look at Narayana Suktam. Antar Bahicha Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Stitaha. Antar Bahicha. Inside, outside, in and out, upside down, whatever you want to use it. Without box, with box, inside box, outside box, whatever word you want to use, everywhere Narayana, he says, Everywhere Narayana is pervading. That's what Narayana Upanishad says. Katha Upanishad says, Manase eva idam aptavyam nehana nanasti kinchana mrityoho saha mrityum gacchati yaha iha naneva pashyati. Nana is multiple. Right? Now, not one is Nana Vidaha. Right? That's what we use the word. So he says, Na iha nanasti. Here there is no multiplicity. Kinchana, not even an iota of multiplicity, it is all one. If you don't understand it, second line says, if you think the world is only multiplicity, iha naneva pashyati, people see only, you are different from me, I am different from you, you are this jati, you are this linguistic, you are North Indian, South Indian. If you bring all these divisions that you can bring, he says, mrityoho saha mrityum gacchati. From one death he goes to another death. From there he goes to another death, which means janma samsara chakra. This vicious circle will never develop escape velocity to get out. That's what he is saying. You have to get that understanding of oneness. Rigveda Suktas, in several Suktas this will come. Ekam sat vipraaha bahuda vadanti. The truth is one. The knowledgeable people says in different ways. It comes in several Suktas, not just in one Sukta. There are several Rigveda Suktas, this mantra is there. So all these Taitra Upanishad. So kamayata bahusyam prajayeti satapo tapyata satapas taptva idagum sarvam asrijata edidam kincha tat srishtva tadevanu pravishat. What he did, he so kamayata, he desired this Bhagavan, which is avyakta, nameless, namarupa yenula. Suddenly he thought, why can't he create shapes and names? So kamayata, akamayata. He got a desire. Bahusyam prajayeti. Let me create this world of living creatures out of me. That thought came. Satapo tapita. So he got into deep tapas. The word tapas, if you want to use a modern word, the correct modern word for tapas is deep research and development. Tapas is what? You have to be at it. You have to contemplate on that idea, get the know-how. You have to get the know-how. That is called tapas. That's a modern equivalent word if you want. You need tapas for anything that you want to succeed in life. Material or spiritualistic, ethical, unethical, moral, immoral, for everything we need tapas actually. Without tapas nothing is possible. Tapas is this concentration of the energy on a stated objective and achieving it with greater possibility of success, for which you need tapas. So satapo tapyata. Satapas taptva idam sarvam asrijita. He created this whole universe through tapas, which means he got the know-how and then he did it. Idagum sarvam asrijita. And then what he did? Tat srishtva, after having done it, tad evanu pravishati, he entered into it. The God particle. Today the research is about God particle. Every year there is a God particle. Taitra Upanishad said it got into everything. Tad evanu pravishatu tadanu pravishya, having entered into it. What did he do? He created everything in the world. Satyacha bhavat. Satya, Sat and Asat, he only became. He created the world of opposite. Everywhere he is there. That, nameless, shapeless God is there everywhere. Satcha, Asatcha, abhavat. Niruktam cha, aniruktam. That which can be established, that which cannot be established. All pairs of opposites. Nilayanam, anilayanam, which is stabilized, not stabilized. Vijnanam cha vijnanam. Knowledge, no knowledge. Inability, knowledgeless things. Satyam, anritam. Truth, falsehood. He said, I created everything. I entered into everything. So all these Shruti are saying the same thing. If the Shruti are saying the same thing, that must be the truth. We must make sense of this idea. So this chapter is giving again, it is taking all these, that's why Bhagavad Gita, if you read properly, you don't have to read any Vedantic text, you don't have to read Upanishad, you don't have to read Brahma Sutra, nothing is required. Everything is distilled, the idea is taken in simple shlokas Sri Krishna has given us. That is the greatest gift for mankind. That's why Bhagavad Gita is one of the greatest things. So all these ideas are going to be expressed in a very practical way for us. That is what this chapter is all about. So this chapter has 42 shlokas, And as I told you, there are actually three parts broadly. The first 10 shlokas are, that is the supreme word of the Gita, as Sri Aurobindo's first chapter talks about. It's all about Krishna quickly tells in a few shlokas what is his divine manifestation. If somebody knows it, he becomes a bhakta. If he becomes a bhakta, how will I take care of him? All these are told in concise form in about 11 shlokas. And then after hearing it, Arjuna is overwhelmed. So he there are 4 shlokas in which there is a prayer, 12, 13, 14, 15, nice prayer. Deva Deva Jagat Guru, Paran Brahma Parandhama, there is a Paramam Bhavan, nice shlokas, there is a nice prayer. But after that he says, I am not satisfied with your description of this power of manifestation. Please tell me again. I want to keep hearing because I want to get this idea even more clearer. That is a request he makes. That is the second part, shlokas 12 to 18. Then shlokas 19 to 39, Sri Krishna points to a sample of divine creations. That's the vibhuti he is actually showing. He starts by saying, I cannot, it is very exhaustive. When I say the whole world is myself, how long can I say? So I will take a few samples here and there and show you. That's what that's the core of the chapter, which is the vibhuti. Then there are some shlokas which wind up the chapter saying, how do you approach this vibhuti, this divinity? So that's how the chapters are organized. We will see a few shlokas and then as we go along we will. So this is the opening shloka, which says Sri Bhagavan Vacha Bhuya eva hi mahabhayo shrunume paramam vachaha yatteham priyamanaya vakshyami hitakamyaya. So he starts by saying Bhuya, again, once again. So let me tell you again. What it means is, I have told this several times to you before. That is the meaning. And if it, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, I was reading his commentary, there is a nice observation he makes. He says, if it is a matter of blind belief, if you tell again and again, it is boring. In belief, you take it or leave it. I have to say only once. That's the end of the story. If it is a matter of understanding and experience, there is value in telling it again and again. Because then this time I didn't get it, second time maybe I'll get it. Second time also I didn't get it, third time I may get it. So that is again a practice in, and there are Atindra Bhava, which I said at the beginning. So you will find repetition. And repetition is good. These ideas he is saying, he has said a few times in the previous 9 chapters. Still, we don't seem to turn our attention to it, or maybe we haven't understood it. So it needs, okay, if you don't understand it this way, now let me try it in some other direction. That's the approach. Let's say Bhuya eva. I will tell you again. Paramam vachaha, that ultimate truth, that ultimate point. What is the ultimate point? Glory, anything that you see glorious is me. You have to be reminded of that. That is the ultimate principle of experiencing. See, divinity cannot be experienced the way they show in the cinemas. Suddenly one white smoke comes, something happens and somebody descends, give you something, and it never happens. Deivam Manushya Rupena. Deivam actually Jiva Rupena. Why should I say Manushya Rupena? It can happen in many ways. There are any number of stories. If you can read and make sense of it, we can understand. We can laugh at those stories. God comes in its own way. I was reminded of this, which I heard somewhere. There is a very respected Swamiji in Rishikesh. I don't remember his name now. He was giving a pravachan, and pravachan every day after end of the pravachan, of course, the bhaktas also take some prasad and so on. That day happened to be Mahashivaratri, and so the Swamiji finished his talk, whatever time, 7:38, whatever, and as usual, people were taking his pranams and akshata, mantra akshata and so on. There is one person who was well decorated like Shiva. This is a practice, na? And Ramanavami, we find kids also are, well there. So this person also came in the queue, and the Swamiji gave him akshata. He took the akshata and put it on the Swamiji and went. So the Swamiji thought, Swamiji said, just he dressed up like Shiva. For that he has got so much of ahankara or whatever you want to say. I gave the akshata, he put it on me and went. This thought was crossing the Swamiji's mind. All over. That day night in the dream, God comes and tells to the Swamiji, so many people are wanting to have my darshan. I come in many ways, people don't appreciate and understand. So although the story looks jovial, there is a deep idea here. We don't know how God shows its grace. This is the greatest learning, sir, in our life. We should understand every moment we live, let good things happen, bad things happen. They are all grace of God. If we can't connect that part of the equation, it is a variable which will never be solved. You'll never get the answer. You'll always get a wrong answer. That God particle is the variable in that equation. Everything that happens by the moment has a meaning. And everything that happens is because of the grace of the God, grace of the Lord. That principle is the only way we can experience divinity. Divinity cannot be experienced by reading Bhagavad Gita and memorizing it and telling in front of somebody or all. No, not. We have to experience God in every split moment of our life. That person has seen the Vibhuti. He wants to say that. That's why he says Paramam Vachaha. This is the ultimate truth. Yat te aham priyamanaya vakshyami. You are so close to me. Because look at chapter 1. Chapter 1, he was all into trouble. Vepatasya me, shariram, paridushyate, all that he is saying. Some Gandivam Sramsate Hastad, Gandiva is slipping out of my hand, my it's burning. Romahasham Sajayate. All that he said, up to Shloka 8 in chapter 2. In Shloka 9, he said, Shadimam Prapannam. He says, I don't know what to do, I surrender. The day we know how to surrender, surrender is not weakness. You need a lot of strength to surrender. Don't think surrender is an idea of weakness. Surrender is an idea of strength. You can never surrender. Let anything happen, you say, I have an ahankara to solve that problem. We want God only in a transactional equation. We don't want God, we don't think God can do things for us. We have that much ahankara. So surrender is not easy. Moment Arjuna surrendered, he says, now I will take care of you. Same thing, Draupadi Vastraparana story is saying that. There is a deep principle there. Take your hands off in life. Take your hands off, you will find help coming. These Indian stories are all very figurative. You can't just read stoolam meaning and all, you can't read and that's what Westerners do. They read it and they laugh at it. Because they can't see the Sukshma Tattva. They are not trained. Their particular training is in a particular way. Our stories are all meant for reflection, not for reading, memorizing and all that. You have to read a sloka, read a story and reflect on what is being conveyed here. Draupadi Vastraparana is a message to say, if you know the trick of taking your hands off at the appropriate time when you go through a problem in your life, help will come. If you can't, these are matters in which you have to have belief, otherwise we will go nowhere. That's why he says, Priyamanaya, you have become so close to me because you have now taken your hands. Shadimam Prapanam, you have said in the 9th sloka in chapter 2. Now you have left that's what a 2-year-old child does. 2-year-old child has left the entire safety to the parents. That's why it doesn't bother. You have to bother. You go to a party, you never attend a party. You keep on saying what is happening to the child. Why? Child has left the responsibility to you. If the child takes the responsibility for us, it will be very agitated. The charm of playing is gone. So a 2-year-old child says, Shadimam Prapannam to the parents. That is why it found bliss. The day its ahankara grew, it lost its bliss. Because he says, now I have to take care of myself. I will not listen to my parents. I will take care of myself. So that is what it is. Name viduhu suraganaha prabhavam cha maharshayah aham adihi hi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashah. He says, all these devas and maharshis, all those don't know me. Suraganaha, the gana of suras. It's not working, looks like. The power, it says. Huh? Can you call somebody who can help us? Because looks like the power is not working. Let's plug in to find another power source. It's drowned. Why is it not working? I put it here. Looks like it's not working. Let me see. 1 minute. Huh? Yeah, I will see. Yeah, it is now powering.
One of the points, I think.
Point settings of
Yeah, it's now powering, not a problem. It's charging. Yes. So we have to learn to do our own things with the technology also. Anyway, it's all right. The power, I think there was a problem. Anyway. So he says, even Devas, Suraganas, Maharshiyah, all those people don't know about my glory. And the reason he gives is, he says, Aham Adihi, I am before all of them. See, the story is like this. A father goes and tells his son, you know, my wedding was so good. These people came, that people came, there was a special party arranged. Son cannot say, why did you not take me? He cannot say, because it happened before the son came. So this notion of divinity, what divinity is before these Maharshis came. So in the next sloka he is going to say when he came and how he came and all that. So therefore it is quite understandable that you have only a secondary knowledge now. If you are part of the original creation process, you would have a first-hand knowledge. This is only a second-hand knowledge. Somebody is telling you there is something called divinity because you are a product of that divinity. Much later you came to know. I can only hear about my father. I cannot experience what my father has experienced. And his knowledge and my knowledge, there is a mismatch, particularly when there is a continuity of time. That is one reason. Second reason which we have to understand, there is a difference between a Sarvajna and Alpajna. There is a difference. All Maharshi, Devas, all those are Alpajnas. They are not Sarvajnas. It's only that which is Nitya, Shuddha, Bhukta, Mukta, Satchidananda, Swarupa, whatever words you want to put. The meaning of fullness befits only the divinity. Everything other than divinity is only a expression of that, so it ought to be imperfect. The definition of perfection holds exclusively only for the divinity. So that's the reason why he is saying that, you know, Suraganaha na viduhu, they don't know what it is. That's what he is trying to say in the shloka. Then, very quickly in 2 slokas, he tells him how does this divinity pervades into the world. Right? So he uses some properties. He says, Buddhihi, Jnanam, Asammohaha, Kshama, Satyam, Damaha, Shamaha, Sukham, Dukkam, Bhavaha, Abhava, Bhavaha, Abhavaha, Bhayam, Abhayam, Evacha, Ahimsa, Samata, Tushtihi, Tapaha, Danam, Yashaha, Ayashaha, Bhavanti. So he sprinkles some examples. What all that you see in people, these are the effects. These are not the physical manifestation. This is the effect of manifestation. This is a very subtle description. He never said rivers, plants, trees, human beings, lizards and worms and birds. He never said that. They are all physical manifestation. These are the effect coming out of the creations of the Lord. So it is one step behind, one step inside. He used this to describe. So he says Buddhihi, the Buddhi that you see, wherever you see Buddhi, that is my manifestation. He says Jnana, knowledge. Asammohaha, you are not deluded. You have the clarity. You have the clarity of understanding. When the clarity of understanding sparks in your mind, remember Krishna is sitting there. It is an expression of divinity. That's what he is saying. You can say, I did it. See, human mind is so inferior. When success happens, it takes all the credit. When failure happens, it puts the blame to everyone, including God. God has been unkind. I don't know why it happened to me. I have been all right. When success happens, he never said, God has been so kind, he gave me. Nobody says that. But there was one person, so beautiful, I don't remember his name, American, African American, black and Negro. He was a world champion. He was a great athlete or basketball player. I think basketball player or something. Yeah, I think basketball player. So he had a very roaring career, and after that he had a cancer. So one person asked him, why has God been so unkind to you? Did you not think about it? This was the question. He gave a wonderful answer. He said, 1 million people play basketball in America. Out of that, so he went on describing this. how the 1 million gets into a few 100,000, from there it goes to 10,000, from there it goes to thousands, from there it goes to hundreds, from there it goes to 16, and then it goes to 10. When I went through all that, did I ever ask God, why did you do this to me? Very nice answer. He said, when good things happened, I never asked. I never asked, why did God do this to me? So when I didn't ask, why did God do this to me? Why should I ask, why did God do this to me? That's what they are very philosophical. You don't have to read Gita. In fact, we don't have to read any of these texts. Being spiritual and philosophical is a bright mind. That buddhi is also divinity. That jnana is also divinity. So he said that. He said, I never asked this question. I have been given an opportunity which is impossible, next to impossible. Did I ask God, why did you put me there? So in the same way, when I take it with folded hands, I should take this with folded hands. That's what the answer he gave. That's what he told actually. So they are all, if a person can say that, divinity is saying. When Swami Vivekananda goes to the Parliament of Religions, and he says, dear brothers and sisters of America, and then the whole people surrendered and all that, why don't you go and try and saying, dear brothers and sisters of America, they will throw some stones and chase you out. Because that is divinity which is sparking out of that Vyakti called Swami Vivekananda, which may not happen. So all these are coming only divine sparks. So you use a Kshama, which is restraint. Damaha. Damaha is the opposite of Mada. Mada is inebriated, losing control. So the reverse meaning of Mada is also the Sanskrit word which is reverse, Dama, which is control, external control, which means you don't shoot your mouth, you don't hit at somebody, you be composed even if somebody. I'll give you some of the definitions of Adi Shankaracharya which are very interesting for all of them. I think that's better rather than me wasting my time on this. Buddhihi. He says, Antakaranasya Sukshmadi Artha Avabodhana Samartyam. See, buddhi means you should be subtle. This gross understanding is not buddhi. Your antakarana, which is chitta, buddhi and manas, should be able to pick the subtlest thing correctly. You should be able to discriminate properly subtle things that he defines as buddhi. Power of the inner sense to grasp ideas which are subtle. That's the definition of buddhi. Not everybody has it. And that is a divine providence. I mean, you can say, Ahankara, I have good buddhi and all, we can say. That's a, they are all in the kindergarten of their spirituality. They have not understood spirituality. Jnanam. Atmadi padarthanam avabodha. There is this ultimate truth called Atman. That knowledge is the ultimate knowledge. All others are avidya. He uses the word vidya and avidya. All these management are all avidya. They all have a limited purpose. That's why it will not give you Shanti, Samriddhi and Amritam, which I started by saying, because they are imperfect science. Imperfect science can only give you imperfect results. Only a perfect science can give you perfect results. So this jnanam belongs to that. Asammoha, not getting deluded. How can it happen? Pratyutpanneshu, bodhavyeshu, viveka purvika pravritti. There are so many things which crop up in life. You must be able to have a sense of discrimination to observe what is right and leave what is not. Such a person will never be deluded. So that's the definition he gives. Because we get easily into the trap. We do some wrong things without thinking, without understanding. Doing this is not correct. We are mohitaha. We are deluded. Because we didn't have that viveka purvika pravritti. Viveka means what? Nitya anitya vastu vichara is called viveka. You should be able to separate what is permanent and what is temporary in anything and go after permanent, not temporary. That is called viveka. It is a viveka purvika pravritti. Kshama. Akrishtasya taditasya va akritita chinta. Somebody inflicts some abuse on you or even physically assault you. Are you able to keep your cool? That is the meaning of kshama. Can you be very composed, not get agitated by that? That's the definition he gives. Damaha, bahyendriya, sense control. Sense control of the outside sense. Shamaha, which is the inside. See, you don't have to, kill somebody. Through mind you can kill also. So that is even a finer idea. That violence is also ahimsa. So that is a shama, not the dhamma. Dhamma is taking the gun and firing. Shama is, pledging and, all the time thinking this fellow must be destroyed. That is called shama. You have to even get out of that kind of ahimsa as what is our texts are saying. Tushtihi. Tushtihi, santushta. Tushtihi comes only with paryapta buddhi. If it is not, if what you give me is not enough, then you'll have iPhone, iPhone 5A, 5B, 5S, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all your money will go only in iPhones. There is nothing else you will do in life, only by your entire salary will go on credit also. So that is not tushti. They are all very temporary things. He says, paryapta buddhihi labeshu. When you get something, be very thankful to God. God has been kind to me, has given me something. That feeling is called tushti. Dhanam. Dhanam yata shakti sambhibhagaha. Yavat shakyam. Can you give? Giving is a great virtue in this country. Greatest virtue in this country. Even today, despite all the nonsense that is being inflicted on us, this issue has not gone out of Indian society. I am very happy. In its own way, it is pervading everywhere. I am seeing much more in villages and second grade cities than big cities. Big cities also it happens in a particular way. This is our culture. Dhanam. Yashaha. When do you become famous? Only you should become famous in a righteous way. That's why he says, Dharma nimittaha kirtihi. Not by hook or crook you become famous. In fact, famous cannot have any sense of hook or crook. That's why he says, Dharma nimitta kirtihi eva yashaha. Adharma nimitta akirtihi eva ayashaha. Put opposite of all of them, you call it as ayasha. So basically, what Krishna said is, Bhavanti bhavaha bhutanam. So all these things that you see in living creatures, they are all coming matta eva, from me only. Pritak vidha, in different measures. Some people have less dhamma, some people have more dhamma. See, these are all the basic material. You may mix and match and then manifest. That's okay. So he says, these are all coming from me. So he thought in quick terms, he really told him how to understand the law of conservation of divinity. This is what Krishna tried. He said, whatever you see in the world, all kinds of responses to everything, they are all coming from me. Like that he said. This is what Arjuna was not happy. He said, I am not satisfied with this discussion, give me some more discussion. He is asking later. But then he said, what will happen by experiencing and knowing this divinity? That's what, there are some couple of beautiful shlokas, which shlokas 6 to 10. Says, Maharshyah saptapurve chatvaro manavastata madbhava manasa jataha yesham loka ima prajahi. Now describes in a greater detail how these Bahusyam prajayeti satapodapyata. I wanted to become all these. How did I do? He describes the process. He said, I was avyakta. Nothing was there. There is a sukta called Nasadiya Sukta. All foreigners are doing research only on that. Because in today's particle physics, it says in the beginning there was only nothingness and darkness and all that is there in that Sukta. Nasadiya Sukta. So from there, how did all these express? So that is what he is describing here. For our model of world of creation, I talked about it in the last time when we met in some detail actually, in chapter 7, is much more robust, much more seem to be standing on a scientific footing. So here he says, from me came 7 Maharshis, Angiras, Bhrigu, there are Pulasya, there are 7 of them. 7 rishis came out of me. In fact, there are some Daksha Prajapatis, there are 49 Prajapatis, there is an elaborate model. He is not getting all that. You can read some Purana to understand that. These are the first set of people they came. Chatvaro manavastata. Actually, I have to step a little bit to explain this. In Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Tritiya Skanda, 3rd book, I think 9th chapter, there is a wonderful about 180 shlokas or 100 shlokas. These 100 shlokas is only about time. I have not found anything more scientific than this ever in my reading. There is a description of time in that chapter. There is a question about time and there is an answer about time. And the answer ranges from 10 power minus 5 seconds to 10 power 17 human years. That much description is there in that chapter. Vidran Maitreya. So this whole discussion of what is the notion of time and all that, creation also is being asked here on that. Now, all that starts with the definition of time. There is a Dwadashartha Palonmadam Chaturbir Chaturanglehi Swarnamashakrita Chitram Yavat Plitam. There is one definition. You take a copper vessel of a certain weight, bore a hole of a certain diameter, put that copper vessel in a water body, start a stop clock. I mean, I'm translating the shloka into a modern scientific experiment. Then let it keep on seeping through the hole. Then it becomes full. Yavat plutam. When it becomes full, then you stop the clock, find out what is the elapsed time. That is called nimesha. There is a definition. That's not the nimisha. That's a different. And from there it says 3 nimesha, make these 4 nimesha. That's how it goes from 10 power minus 5 seconds to 10 power 17 human years. What is this 10 power 17 human years? It is called parardha. It is a daytime of Brahma. Dvitiya parardhe. We are now in the Dvitiya parardha actually. A parardha, a daytime of Brahma, is made of 1000 yuga cycles. So one yuga cycle is 4 yugas. Krita yuga, Treta yuga, Satya yuga, Dwapara yuga and Kali yuga. 4 yugas make 1 yuga cycle. 1000 such yuga cycles make 1 day time, which is 12 hours. There is a night time also. Mahapralaya happens in the night time. Chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, all those are there. Now Kali yuga alone is 4,32,000 years. Just to give you some numbers, it will go out of your head, but it's all right. 4,32,000 years is Kali Yuga. All the yugas put together is 10 times of that. There is a ratio is 4:3:2:1. So if you add all of them, it gets 10 parts. So 43,20,000 years is one cycle. 1000 such cycles, put 3 more zeros after that. 43,20,000, put 3 more zeros because you are multiplying by 1000 now. So you have to add 3 more zeros. This is the daytime of Brahma. In the daytime of Brahma, 14 Manus are ruling. 14 Manus are there. Okay, it starts with Swayambhuva. It says Raivata, Chakshusha, like that. We are in the 7th, which is Vaivasvata, Manvantre. That's why, Mama Upada, Samastaya, Duridakshaya, all these mantras has meaning. Dvitiya Parardhe, we are in a kalpa called Shvetavaraha Kalpa. Shvetavaraha Kalpe, Ashtavimsati. In that Vaivasvata Manu, so each Manu has 72 yuga cycles. After that he will go. Because only 14 into 72 makes it 1000, roughly. So in that 72 cycle, we are in the 28th cycle. I don't know who is keeping this time. I have no idea. Ashtavimshati tame, pratame bhage. In the front part of the 28th cycle, we are all there. This is what the shloka. Why I am saying all that is, he says, Chatvaro manavastata. Now, out of that 14 Manus, each Manu is ruling 172 cycle, Yuga cycle. Only 4 Manus are capable of bringing these living creatures out of the 14. So currently, I was reading somewhere, currently there are only 4 Manus. They are called Dharmika, Sarvini. There are 4 Manus. They are the Raudra, there are 4 Manus. They are the only 4 Manus who can actually bring prajas, who can create this living. That is God. God creates them and enables them to create these creatures. That's why it says Chatvaro Manavastata. So I have to tell all this story to come there. Chatvaro Manavastata. So I created these 7 Maharshis and I created these 4 Manus, who in turn created. And this is like asking, where was the first tea plant? Nobody has answer for it. In India, the first tea plant came in 1768. Now I say, where did it come from? They say, Britishers brought from somewhere. I said, when did it start there? If you go like that, that's why Rishimola and Nadimola you should not see. They say like that. The point is, it is Anadi and Ananta. It's like setting curd. The example is, when curd is being set, that culture, I don't know where it started. Don't ask that question because it has no meaning. I don't know where it started. If I am running out of curd, I will come to you and ask for a little bit of curd. You will give me, I will set that curd. So this is like curd setting. So we don't know where it started, but he says, all this started from me. See, the essence of the shloka is, it started from me. If it started from me and I am the creator and I came in, then everything must be divine. That is the argument he is coming to. So he says, Yetam vibhutim yogam cha mamayo veti tattvataha saha avikampena yogena yujyate na atra samshayah. He says, if somebody understands the meaning of all this, I told 3 shlokas, Samata, Tushti, Buddhi, Bhaya, Abhaya. In fact, talking about Bhaya, see, there is this nice description called Bhaya. Right? In fact, Taitra Upanishad, there is a very nice, sloka. Bishasmadvatah pavate, Bishodeti Suryah, Bishatma Chagnis Indrascha, Mrityurdhavati Panchamayiti. He says, out of fear. Dvatah pavate, the air circulates out of fear. Bishodeti Suryah, Suryah Udati. Every day sun rises out of fear. Bishasma Agnischa Indrascha. Agni and Indra do their work out of fear. Mrityurdhavati Panchameti. The god of death also acts out of fear. So that fear is not the fear out of Dadagiri or with Muslim and all that. It's a fear of world order, which is the grand expression of divinity. The fear of sticking to the world order is an expression of divinity. So if I follow rules, it is an expression of divinity. If I have to go on the left side of the road and there is a red signal I have to stop, which Indians don't believe in, that is a great expression of divinity in its own way. That is the Bhayam and the Abhayam. They are all coming from there. So that's what Taitra Upanishad says. Mrityurdhavati Panchamayiti, that's what he says. So he told all that. He told where it started. He said if somebody can understand it, tattvataha. They understood the concept properly. You understand the concept only when you experience it. Otherwise this jnana is only a jnana. It is not big jnana. 7th chapter is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Experience knowledge is the knowledge. Book knowledge is starter. Sugar is sweet. You can keep on reading. If you never put sugar on your mouth, you have no idea what it is. If I ask for a question, I will write and you will give me 100 marks for that. What is the taste of the sugar? I will write sweet, but I don't know what sweet is if I never tasted it. So that is what it is. So, Tattvataha Veti means one who has experienced this notion of divinity in all its pervasive nature. That's what he is saying here. Saha, that person, avikampena. Kampa is shaking. Let's say Bhukampa is earthquake. Kampa is shaking. Vikampa is visishtataya, violently shaking or specially shaking. And opposite of that is avikampa. Avikampena, which means unshaking. Avikampena yogena yujyate. Yujyate, I get connected. The word yujyate comes from the Sanskrit dhatu called yujir. Yujir dhatu, if you develop the dhatu, you get yoga, yukta, yujyate, yujyati. Yujyate, it is actually atmanepada. That's why yujyate means connected, get established into. That's why the engineering word yoke. Yoke means connect. That's called yoke in engineering. That yoke has also come from yujir only. Yuktaha, one who is well connected. Yuktaha, he says. In chapter 2 there is a nice shloka which says, for ayukta there is no shanti. There is a nice shloka. So ayukta, one who is not at all connected with the reality. So yujyate. Natra samshaya. Bhagavad Gita is all about this modern day disclaimer. In a website they will put a disclaimer. Here is a positive disclaimer. It says, I tell you, he thumbs the desk and says, I am telling you it will happen. Still we don't want to believe. Because that much is so ahankar we have. We say, no, I will sort it out. Let Krishna, whatever you want to say, let him say, let me sort it out. That's why we are not able to, even after all this, we can't take it. You need enormous courage to become actually a bhakta. And to surrender and all are not easy. It's not at all a meek surrender. It's a surrender with a lot of understanding and strength. Inner strength, if it is not there, surrender is impossible. That's why he says, Natra samshayaha. There is no doubt. Don't even have an iota of doubt. Is what he is saying. May I know the time? I don't have a time.
Just
7:30. 7:30. So we must close it, I think. 6 o'clock. Just give me 2 minutes. I will probably... Yeah, I think we'll take these 2 shlokas. Because one portion gets over with this. So first 11 shlokas. And Krishna also said, not only that you will get connected and become a bhakta, he also says, what I will do. He has said it so beautifully in chapter 9. Chapter 9 is the pinnacle of bhakti. He says, Ananya chintayanto mam yejana paryupasate tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yogakshemam mahamyaham. He has thumped the desk and said, I will take care of your yoga and your kshema. Yoga is your spiritual well-being, kshema is your material well-being. I will take care of both of them. When? Ananya chintayanto mam, na anya chintana. You think of me, surrender unto me, take your hands. Ananya chintayanto mam ye jana bhakti paryupasate upasana, do that kind of upasana, tesham, for such people, nitya abhiyuktanam. They are all every day 24/7 they are connected to me. For such people, Yogakshemam Mahamyam. He is only reiterating it again here. Bhagavad Gita is only telling it again and again and again. It is trying to tell, please see through this. So what is he saying here? Machitta, Madgata Pranaha, Bodayantaha Parasparam, Katayantascha Mam Nityam, Tushyanti Charamanti Cha. Such bhaktas, how are they? They are all the time thinking about me. It says, Madgata Pranaha, their thinking and their life, energy, everything is channelized only to me. Madgata Pranaha is what he says. Bodayantaha Parasparam. They, educate one another the greatness of the experience that they have gone through. The satsanga that we are doing belongs to that category. We should be very happy, very blessed to do this. So it says, Bodayantaha Parasparam, Katayantascha, this greatness of the Lord. The greatness of the law of conservation of divinity is being told to one another. Katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. They are all, very happy, contented, and they are in that state. And he says, what do I do for them? That's what the next sloka is. He says, Tesham eva, for such people alone. Tesham eva, for such people alone, anukampartam, out of mere compassion. Yogakshemam Mahamyam is what he said. He is telling it in a different way here. Spirit is the same. Tesham eva anukampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha. I take them out of this darkness and ignorance and lead them to the light of, I lamp the light of knowledge for them and remove all their myth and their misunderstanding and miscomprehensions in life. The darkness is removed. That's what he says. Nashayami. Nashayami Atmabhavastaha. I sit in their own heart. I go and sit in their own heart. And how do I do that? Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. I light this lamp of knowledge. That is what I will do it for you. You do that, I will do it. Understand this notion of divinity. Experience through it. The slightest effort you put to experience through it, I will come and sit in your heart and light this lamp of knowledge. He says Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. And that is what he will do. So with this we will conclude for the day, because the first 11 chapter shlokas are a quick description of the law of conservation of divinity, and if somebody practices it, what will happen and how I will take care. So in concise terms he has mentioned this. We will see tomorrow how Arjuna reacts to this and what more he is asking, which is where the chapter is leading us forward. We'll
Four manos, there is lot of discussion, lot of how many things different people have given different versions. But Balagangadhar Tilak has given one which Swami Ranganatha quotes that they are the avirbhavas of Lord Krishna, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. These are the four avirbhavas, and those are the four manos. They don't even talk of.
And that's one version. Yeah. The other version which people do is, actually what they do is they split it into Chatvaraha, Manavastata. So the Chatvaraha are Sanat, Sanagananda, Sanat Kumara and Sanatana. That's another interpretation they do. So there are different interpretations, but
that Sanat Kumar, there is one more shloka related to Sanat Kumar, Sanat Sujata and
yes, Sanakananda and Sanat. So with this we will close today. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Virdvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you.
Presentation on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, the glory of the divine manifestation. He has touched upon deep truths like tapas, that is deep research and development. We have to be in touch with the living divinity. Few pointers of his talk today. Vibhuti is the power of special manifestation of the divine Lord. First 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita establishes Tat Tvam Asi. Next 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Tat Padartha, what is that? And the next 6 chapters, you become that. We all need Shanti, Samriddham and Amritam. Spiritual texts bring a sense of dispassionate enquiry. Any expression of glory is that of divinity. Chapter 10 is a practical way of seeing God in all things in nature. Truth is one, but there are different ways of expressing it. Meeting of fullness befits the divinity. Intelligence, knowledge, delusion, and many others, these are all divine manifestations in action. Surrender requires a lot of inner strength. So let us all pray for it. And friends, we thank Dr. B. Mahadevan once again. This session will continue tomorrow also, in the evening from 6 to 7:30, and on Sunday it will be in the morning from 10:30 to 12. But it will be on the ground floor, our cultural hall. So we meet there. Thank you.
Thank you. Should I help you winding up?
No, I will